reviewing the final exam. I'll try to be a little bit faster this time, but we'll see. At least we don't have a whole bunch of essays this time. Okay, so we've got Nina here. Nina is also writing a paper, and it's a history teacher asked the students to write an essay that describes a recent technological innovation. Okay. Which of the following would be least useful to Nina in identifying a topic? So this is, I believe, the only one on here that asks about research. So this is the research question. And this goes through what I told you guys about, like ranking how good a source is. So with this, always make sure that it's relevant. So meaning, so let's see, is the source actually about the topic? And then is it professional seeming? Both of those questions matter because you've got her own experience with technology. You want to see to identify a topic, meaning she gets this, she has no idea what she's going to write about. What should I write about? Let me start brainstorming. So she can think about her own experience with technology. She can look through a history book. She can look through current issues of popular technology magazines, and she can look through the technology section of the Sunday newspaper. Well, you're trying to find least useful, and both of these are publications about technology. So those are going to be good. Those are professional publications. This one isn't particularly professional because it's just her own experience. And this one, a history book, that is professional. However, you are looking for recent technological innovation. So because you want recent, you don't want history book. Nina is, if she's got a history teacher, odds are she's like a teenager in high school. So her experience, oh, actually, no, sorry, it's going for Lise. Her experience would still be useful. Goodness gracious, don't just stop with the highlighting. There we go. Her experience would still be useful because she's going to be familiar with the most recent ones. So the history book here, while it is professional, is not relevant to the topic. It is not actually talking about what the teacher wants them to know. So if she finds out about, the printing press made back in the 1800s, that's not relevant to the topic. That's not about a recent technological innovation. So again, always pay attention to what the assignment is. Down here, this looks scary. It's just the bubble chart. It's just the same thing that you guys have drawn a million times. So Nina decides on a topic and makes the following chart. Use it to answer question 12. So she's chosen her topic here. Again, to imagine this being the bubble sheet. It's going to let me draw an oval. Move. Okay. So that would be your main idea. If you were doing your bubble sheet, that's the one that would have been in the middle. She knows she's going to write a paper about train transportation. And then she's going to make the little bubbles that branch off of that. So she says, okay, I know there are two different types of railroad transportation. So come on, you can move. Okay, whatever. She knows there are two different types. She knows freight and passenger. You can see here that that's where the bubble stops on this one. She can't think of anything else that she's read about with freight trains. And honestly, the technology of freight trains probably hasn't changed very much in like 100 years. So passenger trains, however, those have made big changes. Okay, well, what kinds of changes have they made? Well, you've got commuter rails, you've got rapid transit, and you've got high-speed trains. So again, we're still on the bubble sheet. If you would have had freight over here, it would have then stopped. And then you have passenger down here, and that's breaking into three smaller bubbles. Then this one stops, and rapid transit breaks into three smaller bubbles. And high-speed trains breaks into two smaller bubbles. So if you look at this from the writing perspective, When you guys are doing this to write an essay, I say write about the ones that have the most bubbles. So that's what she did. She took some ideas, she put them into the bubble form and found, hey, I got a whole lot to say about this stuff, hardly anything to say about this stuff. So the chart on this chart will help Nina do all of the following except, so which will it not do? Narrow her focus, identify sources for information, understand where her topic fits in a larger context, or be aware of other types of technology in the same area. So, other types of technology in the same area, that means here, same area as passenger trains, and we see three different ones, including the commuter rail, that she doesn't really, figure anything out about, but she is at least aware of the other types of technology. Understand where her topic fits in a larger context. This is the larger context. So she understands that this is different from this, but that they're part of the same larger context. So you get both of those. And then narrow her focus. The further down you go on a bubble list or the further your bubbles branch off, that's narrowing your focus. That's letting you know that you went from, I want to write about rail transportation to, I want to write about magnetic levitation trains. So it does help her narrow her focus. The one thing it doesn't do is identify sources for information. Nowhere in here does it say, oh, I should read the newspaper. Oh, I should look at popular mechanics. All we have are the ideas. So if it's doing all of the following except, this is the one it does not do. Then we get the first part of her draft. I'll zoom in there. I forgot to zoom in before. Go. So you can pause and read it if you would like. Okay. Which sentence, if removed, will improve the focus of the first paragraph? So again, we've got the subject here. I'm just going to highlight it. Subject is focus. And like I said in the other video, that means like staying on topic, only saying things that support that topic, that idea of what you're trying to do. And we got to look at sentence 1, 2, 3, and 4. Imagine gliding along the countryside at a speed of more than 300 miles per hour inside a sleek, modern railroad car. That dream is already a reality in other countries. Even though the United States is supposed to be so advanced, other countries seem to obtain technology much more quickly than the United States. It seems clear that one day the technology for high-speed rail transportation will come to the United States. Then it breaks down into two different train types, and then breaks down into electric trains. Here, let me scroll through. Again, always look towards the rest of the essay. Always look at the essay itself ahead of time. We see that she's going to go into more detail about electric trains, talk about bullet trains, talk about magnetic levitation trains, and how they are in all of the various places. I think she focuses mostly on Japan. And she says here, like, maglevs are still in the testing stage, but during the next 10 years, they could begin whooshing between cities in Japan, Europe, and the United States. The reason I have scrolled through here is because she says they could begin, meaning it's a possibility that they could begin. Whereas here, you have all of your different options. This one, she says, it seems clear that one day the technology will come. If you had scrolled ahead to the later part of the essay, you would see she is not saying that it is 100%, that it's a guarantee that within 10 years we're going to have that. She says it might happen. So for this one, the one that should be removed is D, sentence 4. How can Nina best combine sentences 9 and 10 without changing meaning? So this again is going to be about sentence variety. It's going to be about punctuation. So sentence 9 and 10. We have, where are you? These trains travel at speeds greater than 125 miles per hour. These trains have operated in Japan since 1964. This is a perfect example for your own writing of when you should be combining sentences instead of making these two little robotic sentences where they both start with these trains, these trains. If you're saying the same thing about the same subject, combine those sentences. So we have these trains travel at speeds greater than 125 miles per hour, and they have operated in Japan since 1964. Grammatically, that's correct. These trains operate in Japan since 1964 and travel at speeds greater than 125 miles per hour. This should not have that comma. And I told you guys, pay attention to every single space, comma, period, whatever. This comma should not be here because you don't have a complete sentence on this side of the conjunction. So it can't be G because that's not correct. That's not grammatically correct. These trains, which travel at speeds greater than 125 miles per hour, have operated in Japan since 1964. That one is also grammatically correct. So we have F and H still in the running. These trains travel at speeds greater than 125 miles per hour and have operated in Japan. This comma should not be there because they're saying that this is an interrupting phrase if they do that, but it doesn't interrupt. It's just these trains travel at speeds. So it's not G and it's not J just because of grammar alone. You don't even have to worry about the content. The grammar is wrong on those two. Therefore, it cannot be those two. So you then have to look at F versus H. These trains travel at speeds greater than 125 miles per hour, and they have operated in Japan since 1964. When you use and to combine sentences, you are saying these are two equally important ideas. Here, you have these trains, which travel at speeds greater than 125, have operated in Japan since 1964. They are making this the interrupting part. The speed is just a little interruption because the main sentence is that they have operated in Japan. So this one puts the focus on how long they've been there. This one says they're equal focus. So let's go back and look at them. Electric trains known as bullet trains are powered by electric locomotives that receive electricity from an overhead wire system. These trains travel at speeds greater than 125 miles per hour. These trains have operated in Japan since 1964. The French, too, have a high-speed electric train. It is the something in French. The TGV Atlantique has reached a record speed of 195 and regularly cruises at a conservative speed. Seems like all these ideas are equal. Throughout the whole thing, she has been telling you speed and how long it's been around compared to between countries. So you want the one that has them equal, and that's F. 15. Which sentence will need to be revised because it is a fragment? So that one, subject is pretty clear. It's about fragments. That's going to be on the, I believe it's common sentence errors. So which sentence needs to be revised? 5, 8, 12, or 13? 5 says, high-speed trains of two types, electric and magnetic levitation. Already, that's your fragment. Found it right from the first one because it would need to say, like, there are high-speed trains of two types, or there are two types of high-speed trains. So you are missing the main verb there. There is no verb in here. High-speed trains of two types, electric and magnetic levitation. If it's missing a predicate, it's a fragment. Oops. So your answer here is A, sentence 5. What question am I on now? 16? Okay. I'm starting to lose my voice. This is too much talking. Okay, so now we're on the second part of Nina's draft. Pause there so you can read the whole thing, and I can take a sip of my drink. Okay. So then, question 16. How is sentence 15 correctly written? This is again talking about sentence variety and punctuation. Pretty much all of these that are going to say correctly written are going to mean sentence variety and punctuation. So sentence 15 is, they are less noisy and do not pollute the air with smoke, slower trains operating on diesel oil. So if you're reading it, this part right here seems funny. It doesn't really make sense. So if we scroll back down, they are less noisy and do not pollute the air with smoke and slower trains operating on diesel oil. Well, okay, they fixed what was going on with that comma, but this still doesn't make sense. And you've got that same rule here with there not being a complete sentence on both sides of the conjunction. So there's still errors in F. It's not F. They are less noisy and do not pollute the air with smoke by slower trains operating on diesel oil. Okay, well, that still doesn't really make sense. Like, are they saying that they operate like a slower train is what's making the pollution better? Still doesn't make sense. It's not G. We know it's not correct as it is because we spotted that problem. So let's try H. They are less noisy and do not pollute the air with smoke. So far, so good. As do slower trains operating on diesel oil. So here we have this little phrase connecting them, saying that they are comparing two ideas. And so your answer here is H. Sentence 17, or question 17 about sentence 18. Again, you've got your as correctly written. This one looks to be about verb tense, because if you look through, they're all the same until we get here and they change the verb tense. So let's go up, sentence 18. An extremely powerful magnetic field supports the train as it rides an electromagnetic wave that propels it forward. Well, so reading that the first time, I don't really see a problem with that, but maybe they noticed a problem I didn't notice. So you have an extremely powerful magnetic field supported the train as it rode. Well, the rest of the stuff is talking about, no, I lost it already. The rest of the stuff is in present tense. So you don't want to use one that switches to past tense. And then you have an extremely powerful magnetic field supports the train as it rode. Well, here you have present tense and past tense mixed together. You can't do that, so it's not that one. An extremely powerful magnetic field supported the train as it rides. You got the same issue here. This is past tense while this is present tense, so you can't do that one. So this one is correct as it is. In sentence 20, how is pollution correctly written? When you have this commonly appearing on things, it's typically going to be asking about verb tense or spelling. I had to pause the video for a second, and I don't remember what I said about question 18, so I'm starting that one over. So how is pollution correctly written? I think I said, this is probably going to be a spelling issue. In this case, it's a verb issue. So you have polluting, which is like a current tense, polluted, which is a past tense, pollute is just a regular base form of a verb, and pollution is a noun because it is a thing. If you say that there is a lot of pollution around here, you are saying the thing, the idea of pollution. So we got 3 verbs and a noun, which would be the as it is. So going up to sentence 20. Like electric bullet trains, maglevs are less pollution than conventional diesel electric trains. So if you have here, go back, they are less polluting, they are less polluted than those trains. Well, that's not going to make sense because you're not saying the trains themselves are polluted. They do the pollution. They are less pollute than the trains. That doesn't make sense. And it's not right as it is because saying here, where'd it go? Like electric bullet trains, maglevs are less blank than conventional diesel. Saying they're less of this noun is saying that they themselves are pollution, in the same way the other option was saying this is pollution. And it's not that they are pollution, it's that they cause pollution. So you have your verb here should be they are less polluting. They do the act of polluting less than the other one. In sentence 22, how is represent correctly written? You see they have this broken down in verbs as well. Representing, represented, have represented, or as it is. 22. Along with the bullet trains, they represent important transportation alternatives to our overcrowded roads and airways. So they've got it as a verb in the right place. And then you look at the rest of it to see what kind of tense it's in. They are still in the testing stage, so that's current tense. They could begin whooshing is present tense. And this is talking about our currently overcrowded roads. So going down here. Now I forgot what the sentence was already. Forgive my scrolling. Along with the bullet trains, they represent important transportation. So along with the bullet trains, they representing important? No, they represented. The rest of it is not in past tense. It says they are currently running. They have represented important. That's also past tense. If it had said they have represented and currently still represent, then it would have been correct. But the one they gave you is in present tense, which is why it is correct the way it is. And then I'm actually going to stop this one here because since 20 starts on a whole new section, that will be in video part 3.